Hi everyone, Morgan here. So I may be preaching to the choir here, but I really wanted to make a video for those that maybe don't quite understand the concept of there is no one coming to save you. Now, I want to preface this by saying when there's an emergency or disaster, or when there's a fire, things like that, yes, people come together. We're all here to help. You know what I mean? Like, especially during emergency disasters, hurricanes, natural disasters, people are always like, community comes together and helps everybody. And it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to see, because we're all coming together to help each other, in whatever way possible, whether it's, physically getting people out of floodwaters, or whether it's donating to the causes, or whether it's, physically getting out there and rebuilding homes, or whatever, or whether it's just, helping, provide food or comfort or clothing or none of that. And it's just being able to provide some sort of support, for our community, whatever you can do, right? There's no, like, you have to do this or that or whatever, there's no pressure. And so, the thing about that though is, no matter what situation we're talking about, whether it's a natural disaster, house fire, whatever, you are always the first one at the scene. Let's say whatever is happening around you, somebody chokes at the table, or, there's a grease fire in your house, or, there's an active attack going on, or there's a flooding happening, whatever is happening. Let's say that's happening around you and your situation, right? You are the first one there, not the fire department, not the police, and not anyone else. I was reading this book the other day, and I actually had to stop reading it. It was not a very good book, but it actually started out with first responders are people like police and fires, and things like that. And yes, when we think about first responders, we do think about those people because they are supposed to have more training than us, and most of the time they do. Firefighters, they have a lot of training. Police, they have training. All these people, they have training to be able to come onto a scene and to help people almost immediately, right? So they are technically supposed to be the first responders, but the actual first responders are you on that scene. If it's a house fire, you're getting people to safety. You're calling 911. You are trying, if it's like a barbecue fire, you're running to get, the baking soda or your fire extinguisher if it has a B rating. You are, like if it's an active attack, you may not be the one trying to take out the shooter, but maybe you're trying to get other people to safety, or, whatever the case may be, whatever your training allows. And that's the whole point. You are the first one at the scene. So you have to understand what it is that you're going to be doing first. Are you going to be trying to evacuate everybody out of the house? Are you going to try to get to safety? Are you trying to get through the exits? Are you trying to help other people? Are you trying to, do the Heimlich on that person that's choking, on at the table across from you? What skills and what training do you have in order to help the situation? Sometimes it's just fleeing. Sometimes it's just getting people to safety, and that's fine. But I think, when it comes to people who, individuals, we are the first ones at the scene, period, right? So, police could be there in a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Fire is another good example. They don't know that there's a fire unless they get the call. So that's, a couple minutes later, 5 minutes later, however fast it gets to them, like if fire's blazing, right? You call 911. A minute has gone by. You're talking to them. They're being dispatched. Let's say, it's 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes of a fire blazing, wherever it's blazing. Now, like I said, it doesn't mean that fire will never come. It doesn't mean that police will never come. They'll never come on the scene. But you are the first one on that scene. So what are you going to do to be preventative, to help the situation, whether it's just standing back, keeping, the barbecue closed so the fire doesn't spread even further? What actions can you take to help this situation a little bit? You know what I mean? And that's all going to come down to your training. Like if, we always talk about situations where, it's like the active attack. And one of the things that people say is first aid. So like, applying first aid, tourniquets, whatever needs to be done, you're that first responder, but that's only if your training and your skill level allows you to do those things. See what I'm saying? Now, I want to reiterate even further how much more of a first responder you need to be in a variety of situations by showing you an example of a typical city and how many firefighters and police there are compared to the amount of sheer people and space. So let's check it out. Let's show you actual numbers, because I think numbers can really help people. And so I'm doing a search to show how many people are in a certain city and stuff like that. So again, I want to reiterate before I even go into this, I am not saying that police will never help you, that fire will never help you, that none of these services will ever help you. That is not what I'm saying at all. I just want to really reiterate the point that it's you are always going to be the first one at the scene. So you need to have some skills before the other people arrive at the scene, right? All right, so how many people are in San Antonio? 1.5 million, okay, as of the 2022 population. So 1.5 million, I'm gonna keep that in mind. In 1.55, same thing. Look, it was 1.55 in 2019. It's always growing. So in 2020 is 1.59. All right, so how many square miles is San Antonio, Texas? The city has a total area of 465.4 square miles. Okay, talking about San Antonio proper. So now, how many police are in San Antonio? Right? I want you to remember this number, the 1.5. Okay, let's say 1.59. In San Antonio, as of November 2018, the department has 2,358 officers. 2,358 officers, 1.5 million people. All right. Now, how many fire stations? I said, how many fire stations are there? There are 67 fire departments and fire stations in San Antonio. That is for 1.5 million people in a 465 square mile radius with 2,358 officers and 67 fire departments. And if you've ever been to San Antonio, you know how spread out it is. It's San Antonio proper, then there's like Live Oak and all these little cities, peppered around. So it's a very big spread out city. It can take like 30 minutes or more to get from one end of the city to another, 30 minutes to an hour, and that's depending on traffic. Traffic is getting like way bad, right? So, and then you have to think about other places like, more congested cities. Austin, really congested. Like I feel like their traffic is just bad all the time. I don't know. San Antonio is getting pretty bad too, but of course, smaller towns may have easier access to things, or they may not have easier access to things. When I lived in remote Arizona, so the nearest fire department to us was about 15-20 minutes. That was the nearest fire department to us. And so that's 15 minutes that you would have to wait for somebody to come to your property. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like even police and fire try to educate the public in order to handle situations until they can arrive. And over and over again, they're saying, listen, we can't be there at all times. So what are you going to do in the meantime until we get there? How are you going to handle that situation until we get there? Camera's all crazy. I'm going to move it. So that's what I keep meaning by nobody's coming to save you. They might come later, right? But in all these instances, you are the first one at the scene. You are the one dealing with the situation right now in this second as it happens. So what are you going to do? So ask yourself what if questions. What if something were to happen, in this situation? What if, a tornado were to come right now? What if, a flash flood were to happen right now? What if, a variety of situation, wherever you are, whether you're grocery shopping, whether you're at your kids' school, just at home. What if somebody were to try to get into my house right now? Ask yourself these questions and then run through those scenarios, because it's so important to get our mind thinking about that stuff. So when it actually happens, you will know what to do, right? And every situation is varied and dependent on the actual situation itself. But running these drills, both mentally and physically, will help you to be as prepared for the real situation as possible. Before, anybody else can try to help you, you have to help yourself. And don't forget that prevention is as important as actually dealing with the situation, through situational awareness, through, knowing how to prevent a grease fire from happening, from hardening your house so that people don't want, to come in and steal from you, that kind of thing. All these things can help prevent things as well. But of course, we also know Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So we also know that as much prevention as we have, things can still go wrong. And we also want plans for in case something does happen, even though we tried to prevent it. It's a layered system. You don't ever have one action for one thing. You have a layered system of success. You have the situational awareness to prevent. Then you have, finding your exits and knowing how to get away from that scene. And then you have having maybe to defend yourself. These are all layers. They're layers to your preparedness. Instead of simply relying on one thing, you're relying on a multiple of layers. Thank you all so much for watching. Please head down to the link down below in the description to see some types of drills that you can run. There's a blog post on my website. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.